For me to get put down for having 7 kids, as hard as I go for my babies, I would never
That's why you
anyone doubt me as a father.
I don't think you were ever put down.
No, for you to tell me to stop making babies, if I wanted to have another baby and I take care of them, that's my business.
Get ready for a whirlwind of emotions and revelations in the courtroom drama of Paternity Court. Today, we're examining the chaotic dispute between Mr. Kevin Kidd and Ms. Tanava Rawlings. This case is not just about determining the father of young Nathaniel, it's a deep dive into relationships, trust, and the consequences of past decisions. Let's dive into the details of this case.
Mr. Kidd, you say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, Nathaniel, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings' mind games have wreaked emotional havoc on your family, and you are 100% positive you are her son's father. Ms. Rawlings, you say Mr. Kidd is fully aware he is not Nathaniel's father, as he himself told you he cannot have children. You say Mr. Rawlings and his mother are two desperate people who convinced themselves Mr. Kidd is your son's father.
The courtroom buzzes to life as Mr. Kidd launches a series of accusations against Ms. Rawlings, labeling her a manipulative user who played with his emotions. He is adamant that he is Nathaniel's biological father. The stakes are sky high as both parties brace for the revelations ahead.
Did you tell him it was his child, Ms. Rawlings?
No, Your Honor. How it happened was we met through a mutual friend, and I didn't know anything about Mr. Kidd. Starting off, my mutual friend ended up leaving, and the situation that I was in, I didn't have anywhere to go. And that's how me and Mr. Kidd ended up having relations, because I was staying with him. But as, everything progressed and everything started off, somehow another female came into the picture, and I went off and did my own thing and was dealing with him and another gentleman also around the time that I conceived my child. So
Ms. Rawlings argues that Mr. Kidd was well aware of his medical condition, which might prevent him from fathering a child. She describes their complex relationship dynamic, riddled with intermittent liaisons. It's a classic, he said, she said, with a child's future at stake. Ms. Rawlings reveals she had relationships with another man as well, both of whom were in the picture around the time Nathaniel was conceived. The audience is riveted by the revelation of a rare blood disease, adding further complexity to the case.
What was your relationship with this man like?
We were in a serious relationship, and I was actually at some point, once I left from being around Mr. Kidd, that I was actually staying with him.
So how often were you with Mr. Kidd, and how often were you with the other guy?
Pretty much going back and forth, because I was staying with him and I was leaving from being with Mr. Kidd to going with him and coming back to Mr. Kidd.
Did you tell him, Ms. Rawlings, that he was Nathaniel's biological father?
No, ma'am.
You never told him that?
No, ma'am.
You just told him you were pregnant, and then somehow he assumed he was the father?
But what is revealed next will leave you shocked. Yep, it is result time, and the courtroom was thick with anticipation. With the entire family's future hanging in the balance, the truth was just moments away from being unveiled. Who would end up being the father of little Nathaniel? Or was there an unexpected twist lurking in the shadows of this family drama?
Mr. Kidd, you are the father. You are the father.
Thank you.
Thank you. And at least even the fact that he said that he would have stood up, that was what I was still going for, period. The fact that that is his son, I am happy, because me and him, we don't have a hate type relationship, and that I knew he's a good man at heart and he has a good heart. And knowing that me and him could be on some type of page, that my child will have his biological mother and father.
Don't hug her.
And he has a family, something that I really didn't have.
Over here, we have Ms. Short, a young single mother, insists Mr. Johnson is the father of her son, Jabari. However, Mr. Johnson's denial and the presence of another potential father complicate the narrative.
Ms. Short, you and your mother opened your case today because your first love, the defendant, denies he fathered your 21-month-old son, Jabari. You are a single teenage mother who needs help, and you demand Mr. Johnson step up and be a father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, you are in court with your mother and say you might have been the plaintiff's first love, but you weren't the only one. You refused to do anything for her son until the DNA results prove you are his biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Short, you say you need help.
The courtroom's atmosphere thickens with tension as Ms. Jones recounts their brief romance that blossomed and withered on the whims of Mr. Johnson's affection. During her tearful testimony, it becomes clear that this is about a young woman grappling with the bitterness of rejected love.
I did stop him from coming over because I didn't want no feelings to get involved, like them to get attached if he wasn't the father, because she did tell them it's a possibility you may not be the father.
Jabari is almost 2 years old. How did you meet?
Well, it was on Facebook, and we used to text. He was my first kiss, first everything.
Okay, so after you met, you all started having sex, and at some point, you find out you're pregnant.
Yes. Me and Mr. Johnson had sex April 23rd. I seen him on Facebook with another female.
As Mr. Johnson takes the stand, his version of events completely contrasts with Ms. Short's tearful narrative. He claims ignorance of the pregnancy's details until much later, complicated further by rumors and whispers from mutual acquaintances about another man's involvement.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
But when I found out about the baby and I talked to Ms. Short on the phone, I told her if he was mine, I was gonna be there for her. I was gonna help her with the baby. But when I got out and then her friends started telling me that's when I started having my doubts.
All right. Did you know your friends, Ms. Short, was telling Mr. Johnson that he may not be the child's father?
Your Honor, it was an ex-friend. I thought she was my friend. She was like, because I was like, it was a possibility. So I was like, I'm scared to let the moms know. She was like, you need to let them know so it won't be any confusions when the baby get here.
Then, something shocking happens. Ms. Short's mother voices her doubts regarding Mr. Johnson's paternity. The courtroom becomes a battleground of words and wills, as each party vies for validation and vindication in the eyes of the law and the public.
After that, I called her and I said, it's a possibility that Mr. Johnson can be the father of my son. She said, if you need any help with anything, please let me know. I didn't expect that because I said possibility already.
Was that Mr. Johnson's mother you were speaking to?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you were speaking to Ms. Mabry.
Your Honor, she didn't come to the baby shower, bought the baby 1 box of Pampers. He bought the baby a small pack of Pampers. It's been a struggle, let me tell you. I've been raising him. I've been doing the best I can. It's very, very expensive.
About time, this journey of love, betrayal, and paternity claims reached its climax. Yep, the results are here. And the courtroom was thick with anticipation, the air crackling with every heartbeat. With the tangled webs of relationships laid bare, the truth was just moments away from being unveiled.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father. I'm glad you will.
This all I want to know to get all the other extra stuff out the way.
You have to.
It shouldn't have took this.
But no, Miss Short, this happens in life.
Yes.
It should not have taken this, but it did.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we're here now.
Yes, Your Honor.
And now you at least have the answer.
Yes.
So now we've got to figure out how to get you two on the right path to be able to raise this child together. So let's get real. You all are going to have to work out together when and how you all will see the baby, when Mr. Johnson and his family will be able to see the baby.
Strap in for an explosive episode of Paternity Court, where emotions run high and secrets spill out. We're diving deep into the chaotic love triangle of Shomo versus Kleckler and Freeman, where a weekend fling throws an entire family into turmoil. At the heart of this drama is baby Theseus, an innocent caught in the crossfire of accusation and betrayal.
Miss Shomo, you confess you had a weekend fling with a co-worker while married to the defendant, Mr. Kleckler. Now, because you admit to being intimate with both men during the same 2-day period, you now say you have no idea who fathered your 11-month-old son, Theseus.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Kleckler, you argue Miss Shomo has already done this once before. And while you have doubts, you're hoping this baby is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Freeman, you admit you are that co-worker and you're the second possible biological father.
From the start, Ms. Shomo admits to a scandalous affair, throwing her marriage to Mr. Kleckler into question. As the courtroom listens in stunned silence, she reveals her uncertainty about the father of her child. Was it her husband or was it the fling with Mr. Freeman?
So, Ms. Shomo, what made you stray from your marriage and possibly conceive 2 children outside of your relationship?
Your Honor, I was young. I was going through some difficulty, feeling unwanted by my husband, Mr. Kleckler, and I felt Mr. Freeman was giving me more attention than my husband was. I mean, we've been together for 10 years. His friends was more important at the time, and he just wanted to run around and not be a family man.
My friends always said I was with you. If we went somewhere with my friends, you was there.
That wasn't true. He had left me and the kids in the house, Your Honor.
The air is thick with tension as Ms. Shomo details her loneliness in her marriage, feeling neglected by a husband more interested in his friends than his family. Mr. Kleckler, caught off guard, denies knowledge of the affair, his voice filled with hurt as he recounts his wife's late nights out. The courtroom is on the edge of their seats as accusations fly, with Mr. Kleckler's disbelief clashing against Ms. Shomo's confession.
Mr. Freeman, when you met Ms. Shomo, you knew she was a married woman?
Yes, Your Honor. And, you know, she was saying that he was cheating, you know what I'm saying, talking to other females or whatever. So, you know, so we started conversating and talking, and it went from there.
And so when she got pregnant, did she tell you?
A couple of months in pregnancy.
Okay. When did you find out, Mr. Kleckler?
A couple months into the pregnancy as well.
Did she tell you that there was another possible father?
No, Your Honor.
So after you told him, did you immediately tell him?
No, I completely shut him out of my life. I did. I was trying to do the right thing because, like I said, I'm young and I wasn't happy.
Mr. Freeman, cool and confident, enters the courtroom declaring his potential paternity and even shocking the court with a bombshell. He wants full custody if Theseus is proven to be his. This declaration stirs up a frenzy, pitting him directly against Mr. Kleckler, who is desperate to believe he can repair his fractured family.
So, Ms. Shomo, in the first stages of your son's life, his beautiful brown skin and hair, and I can see that when you had him, you said, he looks like me.
Yes.
Native American. I can see this in him.
Yes.
And then as he got older, you just didn't see Mr. Kleckler in him.
Right.
One thing I read is that in the court papers you said that Mr. Freeman and you used protection when you all were together.
Yes.
You did?
Yes, Your Honor.
And yet, was it even more surprising to you when you started to see or feel like he was looking like Mr. Freeman because you all used protection?
Yes, Your Honor. But within that, Mr. Freeman wanted a baby with me, and he had told me that he had wanted a baby.
Despite the betrayal, Mr. Kleckler's turmoil is evident. He wants Theseus to be his, hoping to salvage what remains of his bond with his wife and child. Yet, doubts plague him, haunted by the thought of his wife's infidelity possibly introducing an irreversible divide.
When you saw the baby when he was born, did you think, oh, he just looks like my wife, or did you immediately have a doubt?
No, Your Honor. I had been teased at work by my coworkers. They would tell me that he was gonna come out with curly hair, or that's what they say to me. You know, they tease me.
So they were teasing you.
And you know, after she left, they kind of got a little bit more serious about it. You know, my wife had told me that she hadn't messed with nobody, so I believed my wife. I mean, before I had a little doubt, and I would ask her like late at night, if you just tell me, I won't make no deal out of it. Just be honest with me. Mm-hmm. And she would cry and she would ask me, why you talk to me like this? Why you make me feel bad?
About time, this chaotic journey of love, betrayal, and paternity claims is reaching a fever pitch. The judge asks for the results, and the courtroom is buzzing with anticipation, every eye fixed on the envelope that holds the truth. With Mr. Kleckler's last shred of hope hanging by a thread and Mr. Freeman's bold claims, the big question remains unanswered. Who is the biological father of little Theseus? Or is the court in for a twist no one saw coming?
Mr. Kleckler or Mr. Freeman is the father of 11-month-old Theseus, that the biological father is Mr. Freeman.
Yes. Congratulations, y'all.
So appreciate it. Do what I got to do.
you.
That's all I got to say.
I'm really relieved because my son needs a father in his life.
And he deserves that.
He deserves it. He really does.
How do you feel, Mr. Freeman?
Feel good about it, you know. I'm gonna do what I got to do, like I said. Take care of him, raise him.
And he's counting on you.
Yes, ma'am.
You all have a lot of talking and a lot of discussing to do to figure out what's best for him, because ultimately that's what this court is about.
Hold on to your seats for another chaotic session in paternity court, where emotions run rampant and the stakes are sky high. Today's face-off features Ms. Beckley and Mr. Allen in the case of Beckley versus Allen. Ms. Beckley is here to prove that Mr. Allen is the biological father of her 1-year-old daughter, Itale Beckley, and she's fired up, demanding that Mr. Allen step up as a father. Mr. Allen, on the other hand, is adamant he's not the dad, and claims Ms. Beckley's accusations are causing chaos in his current relationship.
Ms. Beckley, you are in court today to prove Mr. Allen is the biological father of your 1-year-old daughter, Itale Beckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Mr. Allen has only seen his daughter one time since she has been born, and you want him to take responsibility starting today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Allen, you say you are more than certain you are not Italy's biological father and claim Ms. Beckley's accusations are driving a wedge between you and your fiance. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Beckley, how do you feel that Mr. Allen has only seen your daughter once?
From the get-go, Ms. Beckley lays it all out, emotionally declaring her frustration over Mr. Allen's neglect of Italy since birth. The tension is palpable as she details how Mr. Allen has dismissed his daughter, seen her only once, and continues to evade his responsibilities. The courtroom is hooked, eyes wide as the drama unfolds.
I'm very angry, very frustrated. He's been neglecting her from day one since I got pregnant with her, and I'm just sick of it, and I just want him to take responsibility of something we both made. It makes me feel angry. I'm angry. She's without a father, you know, and it's terrible that she has to go through that, and I'm raising her on my own. I just feel like you should be a dad to her, because you are her father.
And you feel like he's just neglecting your child?
Yes, ma'am. He's neglecting her with the other 2 kids we have. And it's like, he's in their life, but you're not in hers. And it makes me feel like wow, like, really? Look at her.
Mr. Allen, are you neglecting Italy? Why are you not in her life?
Mr. Allen fires back, insisting his doubts about Italy's paternity stem from the rocky timeline of their conception, a detail that Ms. Beckley hotly disputes. He paints a picture of a relationship full of separation and fleeting reconciliations, marked by what he describes as angry sex, not intending to conceive. The crowd murmurs, sensing the complications in their shared history.
Back on her birthday, we had sex, unprotected.
It wasn't baby-making sex. It was angry sex.
It's not about baby making sex. Sex is sex.
It was angry sex.
Sex is sex. Whether it's baby making, love making, hate making, sex is sex, and she's still here as a baby. It don't matter what type of sex it was unprotected. Period.
Your Honor.
Yes?
It was angry sex. I was mad at the fact that she put me at the house, that I had been there taking care of her and the children. She put me out the house. 4 months later, I come back on my daughter's birthday. Then a day or 2 later, you tell me that you're pregnant. I want a DNA test.
When it was your daughter's birthday, you came over to the house to celebrate, and you ended up being intimate with Ms. Beckley.
As accusations fly left, right, and center, the child's future is in limbo. Mr. Allen's reluctance is challenged by his own admission of unprotected encounters during their turbulent on and off relationship. The judge probes. The audience leans in, everyone waiting for the next revelation in this paternity puzzle.
I have evidence, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
He signed Germany's and Xavier's birth certificate. Hers is not signed.
So the first one is for Germany, Jacqueline, and Allen. Father's name's there. Second one, Xavier, Dantes, Tyrell, Jerome, Allen. Father's name is there. Third one, Italy, Lisa, Alexandria, Beckley. No father listed. You didn't even give her his last name.
He don't deserve it.
Your Honor, don't deserve it. I was there for my other 2 children by her. I even raised her other daughter, Your Honor. How could you tell me I don't deserve something when I stood my ground?
You wasn't there. How you deserve her? How she deserve your last name?
Did I not call for a DNA test, Miss Beckley?
You did not.
You denied me a DNA test twice.
Okay.
Twice.
The emotional roller coaster does not stop there. Ms. Beckley breaks down, her tears showcasing the struggles of single motherhood. Meanwhile, Mr. Allen stands firm, his defiance clouded by allegations of infidelity and mistrust, making the courtroom shift uncomfortably in their seats. Each statement is more heated than the last, drawing a line deeper in the sand between them.
I struggle financially, and my fiance and her mother step in. So I can't turn off being a parent. So talking about you're tired.
But you can turn off making babies.
Yeah, you're right, Your Honor.
No, really.
You're right.
This is where you gotta be honest. No, stop talking. This is real.
Yes.
You seem like an upstanding young man.
Most definitely,
and you
Your
seem
Honor.
like you have good intentions.
Yes.
I'm not gonna feel sorry for you because you are putting yourself in this predicament. Once you knew there was a potential that Miss Beckley's baby was yours, you got to hit that pause button. That's pause. I already have 2 with her. I may have another one.
About time, this heart-wrenching tale of denied paternity tests, neglected responsibilities, and a child caught in the middle heads towards a climax. The results come in, and the courtroom is buzzing with anticipation, the air dense with anxiety and suspense. With Mr. Allen's paternity in question and Ms. Beckley's credibility on the line, the upcoming verdict promises to unleash a flood of emotions and potentially change several lives forever. Who will be declared the father of little Italy?
Mr. Allen, you are the father.
Told you. You too, fiance. Stepmama.
stepmama. Stop. You all are still very much tied. Everybody in this room can see it. You may not want to acknowledge, but you two aren't finished. And I don't mean physically.
We're finished, Your Honor.
No, I don't mean
finished.
physically.
No
I don't mean
communication, no
physically.
nothing.
There's too much energy there.
That's why we
you
don't
all
talk.
have to learn how to resolve the relationship in a mature way so that you can understand what to do with that entire thing you created with all of these children. How many children do you have
Your Honor,
total?
today Italy makes 7, Your Honor.
You in way over your head.
But Your Honor, I have took care of every last one of my children.
Tests on paternity court are just too much, even for the no-nonsense Judge Lake. When that happens, it's time to call in the cavalry. We start off with a woman named Cheryl Rubin, who says the defendant, Mr. Davis, is her dad, but he's been denying it for years. Cheryl explains that Mr. Davis always treated her differently from her siblings, showering them with gifts and love, while she got nothing.
Mr. Davis, you claim you have legitimate reasons to deny paternity and claim to be a good man with grave concerns for the Rubins' well-being. All right, Ms. Rubin, when did the defendant start denying he was your father?
He always denied me. He always treated me differently. I just feel like he never treated me fair with my brother and sister.
Mr. Davis tries to justify his actions, claiming Cheryl's mom slept around before they got together, so he doubted the paternity of all 3 kids. But the judge shuts that down real quick, reminding him that he was still in a relationship with the mom, so he can't just blame her for everything.
I mean, we all his kids. Why he just won't do for her, but do for us?
And you noticed this. You could see this as a child.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Davis, is this true?
Yes, it is.
It is?
It is.
That's a shame.
And I'll tell you why, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
The reason why I treated Cheryl the way I treated her, because her mother slept around.
You was a liar.
Your mother did sleep. Okay, first of all, neither one of you all was in there when it started, okay?
Things really start to heat up when Cheryl's brother, Jonathan, takes the stand. He's clearly upset, saying he's surprised to hear about this DNA test after 27 years. Jonathan calls out Mr. Davis for not being there for them, even when they tried to include him in their lives.
Whether you ever were in all of their lives as a father. Were you ever just there?
No. Were you talking to me?
I was talking to you.
Then shut up.
Now you
No.
You shut up.
Mr. Davis, first of all, I control this courtroom. Now you can take it to the street and you'll be out on the street, because we're not gonna act a fool in here. Now you came to get some answers?
Then Mr. Davis's wife, Carlita, drops a bombshell. She says the child support payments are constantly being taken from their paychecks, and they can never keep that money for their own family. Wow, talk about a messy situation.
If she wasn't your child, if she was your enemy's child, you should have brought her something, because she's a child. That's what I want you to try to explain to this court.
As I said before, their mother slept around. She slept around. When we first got together, when I first met her, she was working at a restaurant. That's when I first spotted her.
The bailiff quickly stepped in, sensing the situation was about to escalate, and boy was he right. Jerome, the bailiff, had to intervene and bring back some order, putting his hands up to calm the tension. He warned both parties about having any outbursts in the courtroom.
Right, after my first child, like I said, when I met her, and she had 3 kids before I met her.
That has nothing to do with what's going on now.
While we was having a relationship, I don't believe I believe the judge was talking to me.
Why make broken promises then?
Okay,
why sit right there and act like everything
that's on me. That's on me. I own that. That's on me. Can I answer your question? Can I answer your question?
You can see the raw emotion pouring out of Cheryl as she confronts Mr. Davis. She's clearly been carrying this pain for years, and it all comes spilling out. The way she calls him out for not treating her the same as her siblings is heartbreaking.
Disease in the family, Mr. Davis.
Okay, here's what I mean by the disease in the family. I want my kids, if they are my kids, I want them to be protected. But I at least want them to know exactly what could be coming their way, okay? I lost my father to prostate cancer. I lost my mother to sepsis.
So there are various illnesses in your family, and you are concerned.
I'm concerned for my kids because, like I said, my daddy died of prostate cancer. But he treated them like I'm treating them. He treated me the same way.
But the real kicker comes when the DNA results are revealed. With so much tension and chaos, it's hard to see Cheryl and Mr. Davis ever getting along again. But with a little kid in the middle of all this, they may have to. Let's find out.
In the case of Cheryl Rubin, this court has determined that you are her father.
You already knew that.
Already knew that. What up? Child support, here I come.
I don't worry about it. Come with it.
Yeah.
It's continuing. It ain't stopped yet, so why should it stop now?
You're doing this, and I want you to do this.
Miss Baker is a grieving mother who's here to represent her deceased son, Keyshawn. Apparently, Keyshawn had doubts about being the father of Kanya, the 10-month-old daughter of Coates Hooker. Miss Hooker is here claiming Keyshawn is the dad, but Miss Baker ain't having it. This is gonna be a messy one, folks.
Miss Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Miss Baker and her family's public denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Miss Hooker says Miss Baker's doubts about Kanya's paternity have been really hurtful for her. She's just trying to deal with it, but it's like everyone's looking at her sideways, like she's some kind of outcast. And she's got a point. The baby looks just like her, so what's the problem?
Miss Hooker, let me ask you, what was your relationship with Keyshawn? Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
First we was best friends. 6th grade year, we was best friends, and then we started talking. Then we stopped talking, and just like we stopped talking. Then we started going together for a minute, and then like when I got pregnant, it was just like we always talked, but we just stopped going together. But we still talking though, but we just stopped going together. Like we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend.
Okay.
Now, Miss Baker is explaining why Keyshawn had doubts about being the dad. Apparently, he told her that another guy had been messing with Miss Hooker when he wasn't around. Miss Hooker is shutting that down, though, saying there's no way she was sleeping with anyone else.
Why there's doubt that Keyshawn is Kanaya's biological father?
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant. But then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia.
Okay.
Miss Baker is trying to defend her son, saying Keyshawn only denied the baby when he and Miss Hooker were arguing. But when he was with them, he was all about the baby, holding her and kissing her. That's kind of sweet. Miss Hooker's mom, Miss Bland, is also sticking up for her daughter, saying it's not even Miss Baker who's been the problem. It's her family making Miss Hooker feel like some kind of outcast.
My daughter and my granddaughter does from school, and they had came home like prior months before. They had said she was supposed to be pregnant. And I asked her, I said, do you know anything of your daughter being pregnant? I say, because the girls said they were on the bus, and she's saying she's
gonna
like,
find out what she having tomorrow.
What she's having and what she's gonna name the baby. And she was like, no. So when she got home...
Turns out Miss Bland and Miss Baker's family found out about the pregnancy through the grapevine, with some kids on the bus talking about it. And when Miss Hooker confirmed it, Miss Bland says Keyshawn was just really worried and scared, losing a bunch of weight over the whole situation. He wanted to get a DNA test, but tragically, he was shot and killed just a few months after Kanya was born.
Yeah, I'm the one who wrote the letter.
And that's all I'm concerned with, all this other bickering, and I don't got time for it. Because at the end of the day, this my baby.
Right.
And he gone.
Right.
He not coming back. So all this other extra stuff, I don't got time for it.
And that's exactly why it's so important.
I'm here to do what I promised my son to do.
Now Miss Bland is getting heated, saying she never judged Miss Hooker or her family, and they've always been welcome in her home. She's just here to do what she promised her son, which is get this DNA test done.
Step so far outside, outside the lines that you regret it. Because at this moment, you don't just represent yourself. When you become a mom, you represent your baby.
One of my family members was in the obituary, but my baby one. Y'all can keep my family member out the obituary.
Okay, first of all, slow down, because I want to understand.
Why you telling me?
She said one of her family members was in the obituary.
But there was no mention of Kanaya.
Miss Bland admits she left Kanya out of the obituary because she wasn't sure if the baby was really Keyshawn's. She didn't want to put the baby in there and then have it turn out not to be his, putting her own mom through that. But she says if the test comes back positive, she's going straight back to the funeral home to get a new obituary made with Kanya's name in it.
Called herself helping me, and she was going ahead of me to finish it up, and all three of these people got left out, so it wasn't just Kanaya.
Miss Bland, did you, and I want to ask you this, did you intentionally leave Kanaya out of that obituary because you knew there was a question surrounding the paternity?
Yes, I did. First of all, let me say this. My mama has a relationship with them. I don't.
The judge is trying to keep a lid on things, but Miss Hooker's mom is getting all riled up, saying Miss Bland owes them an apology. The bailiff's got to step in and calm everyone down before this turns into a full-on brawl. You can feel the tension in the air, folks.
Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased Keyshawn Abraham. Abraham, we performed what is called a DNA test with his surviving parents, Carolyn Baker and Lamont Abraham. With that being said, the results determined if there is a viable relationship between the child.
All right, the moment of truth is here. The DNA results are in, and it turns out Kayshawn is not the father of little Kania. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Miss Baker is clearly devastated, and the judge is trying to console her, but she's just shutting down, not wanting to hear anything, and it only got worse from there.
The percentage of relatedness between Miss Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kenaya Abraham is 0%.
And this is why right here.
Miss Baker, are you all right? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
They weren't gonna tell me sorry, so I'm not telling them nothing.
Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
Nobody did anything to you, honey. I don't care.
Oof. This paternity court case was a wild ride from start to finish. We got a cousin who's convinced her cousin is being duped, a mom who seems to be hiding something, and a guy who's head over heels for a little girl that might not even be his.
With your cousin to open today's case because he's being lied to and taken advantage of by Ms. McNair. You say he's so blinded by the love that he foolishly signed her child's birth certificate and you don't believe he's the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Travis, you say you love the defendant's 22-month-old daughter, Mariah, but you now fear she may not be your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tiara is convinced that her cousin, Travis, is being played by this woman, Sinitra McNair. She says Sinitra got pregnant while Travis was away, and that she's got a bunch of guy friends coming over at all hours. Tiara even showed the judge some surveillance footage she took to try and prove her point. Sinitra, on the other hand, is insisting that she's been faithful, and that Tiara is just trying to stir up trouble.
I do, because I went away 2015 in December, and while I was gone, I actually talked to my cousin Tiara, and she told me that Miss Sinitra was pregnant.
And so while you were away, she told you Ms. McNair had been intimate with other people, cheating.
Yes, Your Honor.
And got pregnant.
Things really start to heat up when the judge brings up the timeline of the pregnancy. Tiara points out that the dates just don't add up. Mariah was born in October, but Travis was away in December. Sinitra tries to explain it away, but the judge is clearly skeptical, and Travis is starting to have some serious doubts about whether this little girl is really his.
Right there, men are dropping her off and picking her up. From my window, you see her getting in cars, going back up to her house, and you see the cars just coming in.
So you
can see firsthand her getting in and out of cars.
Are you a stalker?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that looked like a pretty good view.
Yes, it is a pretty good view.
Now, Travis is opening up about how much Mariah means to him. He's been there for her since the beginning, even signing the birth certificate. The judge is really trying to get to the bottom of this, but Sinitra is sticking to her story, even saying she's entitled to have guy friends over when Travis is away.
Why is that your business?
Why only men?
Why is it your business?
Why only men, though?
So a friend girl instead of a friend guy she needed to have. Friend guy just means a guy friend.
She has too many friend guys to me. So.
What you got? What do you have, baby? Mind your business. Find you something to do.
So you say she has a lot of guy friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you see them coming in and out?
Yes.
Judge Lake isn't having any of Sinitra's excuses, and she's really pressing her on the timeline. Sinitra tries to claim the birth date is a lie, but the judge is having none of it. You can tell she's starting to lose her patience with all the back and forth.
If Mariah was born in October, you count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'd be 11 months.
Might as well be a year.
Which means the
you
window of
business, baby. You need to find you something to do and talk about besides me and my relationship, honey.
You've been pregnant a year though, almost a year.
It just don't add up,
It's not.
When the judge finally reveals the DNA results, it's a total gut punch. Travis is not the father of little Mariah. The look on his face is heartbreaking. You can see the pain and the betrayal written all over it. Sinitra, on the other hand, doesn't seem all that surprised. The judge calls her out, saying she knew all along and let Travis be a father figure to this child for 22 months.
So, Mr. Travis, when you sign this birth certificate, I realize you see a beautiful baby, and even if you're hoping it's yours, That doesn't mean you don't have doubt. Did you have doubt when you signed this birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor, I would be honest. I had doubt, but, you know, I asked Miss Sinitra about it, but she just told me that it's my baby. That's all she kept telling me, that it's my baby.
And he's stupid because he believed her.
As the news sinks in, you can see Travis completely fall apart. The judge tries to comfort him, but you can tell this is a devastating blow. Sinitra, on the other hand, is getting absolutely grilled, and rightfully so. But how much can she take before she falls apart?
Mr. Travis, you are not the father.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I am very, very sorry. I know that is not what you wanted to hear. I'm so sorry.
We've got a love triangle gone wrong with a baby caught in the middle. Miss Holman is convinced that Mr. Drumgold is the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Alani. But Mr. Drumgold is denying it, claiming he knows for a fact that Miss Holman was sleeping with at least 2 other men around the time of conception.
Mr. Drumgold, because you claim he denies fathering your 2-month-old daughter, Alani. You want Mr. Drumgold to step up after today's results, prove what you believe. He is the father. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Drumgold, you claim there is no way you are her daughter's father because you know for a fact Miss Holman was sleeping with at least 2 other men at the time of conception.
All right, let's break this down. Apparently, Miss Holman and Mr. Drumgold had a bit of a fling going on. She says he was delicious, and she just had to have him, but it never turned into a real relationship. Meanwhile, Miss Holman was also getting busy with another guy, Mr. Rich.
You feel like he's denying the baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you denying this baby?
Yes.
Mr. Drumgold, you are not in any way accepting of Alani?
No, I'm not. It's been incidents that I know and 2 other gentlemen that I know during the time that she supposed to had Alani that she was dealing with.
Oh, can I speak, please?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
So, at the same time, me and Mr. Drumgold were never in a relationship. We have always had an open relationship. The fact that he knew that there was a possibility.
She was upfront with Mr. Drumgold about seeing other people, but he wasn't having it. When Miss Holman told Mr. Drumgold she was pregnant, he immediately had his doubts. He even went to her house and caught another dude rubbing her belly. Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
But he never told me that. Mr. Drumgold was in a so-called relationship with several other people.
So, Mr. Drumgold, how did you find out Miss Holman was pregnant?
She called me one day and she said that she was pregnant, and I think she said she was like 10 weeks. And at the time, I wasn't even in town for 10 weeks. So then she hung up with me, and then she called me back within 5 minutes. Not days later, not weeks later.
Now, Miss Holman is admitting that she was intimate with multiple men during that time, but she's still convinced that Mr. Drumgold is the father. She says the baby looks just like him. Mr. Rich, on the other hand, is feeling betrayed. He thought he was the dad, and had already built a bond with the little girl.
And so how do you know she was with other men?
As far as
I came to her mother's house, and another man was rubbing her belly.
One at a time.
He knew I was dealing with other men because I was very honest with Robert, Mr. Drumgold, up front. I was super honest with him, and I told him, like, I'm doing me, you doing you, because I know how you get down, period. When I was all in for it with him, he was not wanting no parts of me. But parts of me.
All right, but hold on.
Things are really heating up in the courtroom. Mr. Rich is letting it all out, saying he changed his life for this baby and feels like he's been let down. Miss Holman tries to explain that she didn't want to be alone during the pregnancy, so she kind of led Mr. Rich on. Yikes! Mr. Drumgold is also getting riled up, accusing Miss Holman of lying and playing games. The judge has to step in to try and calm everyone down before it turns into a full-blown brawl.
Did you have a sexual relationship with her, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You do. You did. How did you 2 meet? Can you explain that to the court?
We met at a party back in 2016. She gave me a lap dance and we ended up having sex.
And how long did the sexual relationship last?
It was off and on. It's been off and on for the last 4 years.
Oh, you're still in a sexual relationship now?
Yes, ma'am.
So Miss Holman is admitting that she didn't really think Mr. Rich was the father, but she let him believe it anyway. She says she knew the real dad was Mr. Drumgold, but she was afraid he would abandon her and the baby. That's a bold move, girl.
I can see that.
I put my time and energy into that little girl.
Yeah.
But I already made up my mind I'm gonna be here for this little girl.
And what does that mean to you, to be a father to this beautiful, innocent little girl? What does it mean?
It means a lot to me. A lot of kids don't get the opportunity to have a good father in their life.
Now, the judge is trying to get to the bottom of this. Apparently, Miss Holman told Mr. Rich that he was the dad, but then later told him he wasn't. And she never even told Mr. Drumgold that he might be the father. What a tangled web she's woven. The judge is getting frustrated, trying to piece together all the different stories.
We know that Miss Holman told you were the father. Did she tell you, or when did she tell you, if she did, that you weren't? Do you remember that?
I mean, she told me I was the father all the way up to the time we got in an argument and I left. Like 30 minutes later, she texted my phone, said, "Boy, boo, that baby not yours anyway."
Boy, boo.
I remember exactly what the text read.
But wait, there's more. The judge reveals that there's another potential father in the mix, a guy named Mr. Matthews. Miss Holman knew about him, but Mr. Rich didn't. Ooh, oh, this is about to get even messier. The judge wants to hear from Mr. Matthews, so the bailiff goes to fetch him.
Thought you was pregnant by.
I know who I was pregnant by, so shut your mouth.
The person you thought you was pregnant.
Anyway.
Miss Holman, calm down. Mr. Drumgold, calm down. I don't want to start taking this train in the wrong direction. Let's stay where we are because I do want to understand. Your testimony is, Miss Holman, you didn't really think Mr. Rich was Alani's father.
Yes.
After Mr. Matthews' testimony, the drama just keeps escalating. Mr. Rich is really letting Miss Holman have it, saying she's been taking advantage of him all along, and Mr. Drumgold is still convinced that she's been sleeping around. The judge and bailiff are doing their best to keep everyone focused, but these three are really going at it.
Fall back a little bit? Yes, I did.
So once you saw him rubbing her stomach.
Yes, I did.
And then when you reached out to him, did you ever get a response?
No. What I was thinking is she found a way, like she always do, to smooth over her lie. And because that's what she do.
No, that's not what I do.
So who did you think she was lying to?
No, I knew for a fact she was lying to both of us before she even told me that she told him.
Surprise, surprise! We're not done, folks! Ms. Holman had revealed that there were multiple potential fathers for her baby, Alani. Mr. Rich, one of the alleged fathers, was clearly struggling to keep his cool. He seemed furious that Ms. Holman had been intimate with other men during the time of conception.
Mr. Rich,
Go back up.
you came here to get an answer.
I have not called him lately.
I don't care, man.
My phone tells it all.
Calm down.
Your Honor,
calm
that
down.
was a nice speech. That was a nice speech, but that's all it was, a speech.
Sloppy,
if Leanne could have had it her way and now one of us know, we wouldn't be here today.
At the end of the day, you're a liar. I've been telling you this since I was pregnant. I've been telling you I need a DNA test since I was pregnant.
The judge tried to calm Mr. Rich down, reminding him to stay composed and not let his anger get the better of him. She emphasized that they were here to get to the truth, not to point fingers or make accusations. Ms. Holman appeared visibly uncomfortable as the judge pressed her for more details about the other potential fathers.
You think we don't know you are confused and just out there riding on a wing and a prayer? I'm here with you and for you. Mr. Rich, I am so happy you turned around and came back. And I do want you to understand, I know how painful this is for you. I don't want you to get so angry that then you become the person you know you aren't. You have come in here with honor.
Just when things seemed to be spiraling out of control, the judge stepped in and suggested that Mr. Matthews, the other alleged father, come into the courtroom to share his side of the story. As Mr. Matthews took the stand, Mr. Rich struggled to contain his frustration, nearly lashing out before the judge and bailiff quickly intervened.
It came out that there were other possible fathers.
Correct.
Can you tell me about these other possible fathers?
Well, just like with Mr. Rich, I told him I didn't remember whether we were together around the time of September, which was around his birthday time. Mr. Matthews is the same thing. The only difference with this is Mr. Rich knew about him. Mr. Rich did not know about Matthews.
The judge then turned her attention to Mr. Matthews, asking him to describe his relationship with Ms. Holman. Mr. Matthews admitted that he and Ms. Holman had been intimate over the past 4 years, and that he believed he could be the father of Alani. The tension in the room was palpable as the judge tried to navigate this complex situation.
I'm giving you the truth, but you've got to sit through and you've got to listen. We cannot go to a better place.
I could have made a list.
Listen, we're here now and we're going to get through this. We can't get to the other side. We cannot get to the other side unless we go through. We're going through. Mr. Matthews, thank you for joining us.
Yes, ma'am.
We've heard significant testimony today as we begin to discuss the paternity of baby Alani.
As the testimony continued, Ms. Holman became increasingly emotional, seemingly overwhelmed by the weight of her actions. The judge, sensing the need for a break, encouraged her to take a moment to compose herself. The courtroom fell silent as Ms. Holman wiped away tears, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on her.
Mr. Matthews, I'd like to ask you a few questions concerning the nature of your relationship with Ms. Holman. Can you tell the court, how did you meet? How long have you been in a relationship?
Well, I met Mrs. Holman probably about 4 years ago. I met her through Facebook, and we hung out, and we clicked. And then thereafter, we had sexual relationships, on and on.
When did the sexual relationship start?
The judge then turned her attention to Mr. Drumgold, the third alleged father. She asked him about his relationship with Ms. Holman and whether he believed he could be the father of Alani. Mr. Drumgold appeared hesitant, unsure of how to respond. The judge could see the conflict in his eyes, and she urged him to be honest and open about his feelings.
Enter that space where you're so angry because you feel like because she's saying she really believes it's your baby, it's almost as if you are unwilling to hear the true layers within her testimony. That at the end of the day, there is more than one possible father.
No.
So just stop.
Okay.
Stop grasping on to this thing that she believes that Alani's your baby.
As the testimony continued, the judge tried to bring a sense of understanding and compassion to the proceedings. She reminded everyone that this was a difficult and emotional situation, and that they were all here to find the truth and move forward in a positive way. The bailiff kept a close eye on the courtroom, ready to intervene if tensions escalated further.
Because let's be real, this ain't something easy you can just come out and tell somebody. I mean, this is not something easy. I'm not proud of anything that I've done, but at the same time, I'm justified. Because at the end of the day, now one of them was in a relationship with me.
But did you ever stop and think, why is that?
Who are you talking?
That's the thing.
Miss Holman, listen, Miss Holman.
I'm trying to direct my questions to you.
And I'm looking right at you and I'm listening. I want you to know I hear you and I see you and I value you.
Finally, the moment of truth arrived. The judge announced that the DNA test results were in, and she began to read them aloud. 3 potential fathers, 2 intriguing episodes, and 1 set of results. This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Mr. Rich is not the father. The next result is for Mr. Matthews. Mr. Matthews, you are not the father. These results are for Mr. Drumgold. Mr. Drumgold, you are the father.
Exactly.
Don't go there, Miss Holman. Don't go there.
At the end of the day, I just wanted to know.
Ready for a series of accusations and denials as we dive into the chaos that unfolded in the courtroom on Paternity Court. We're talking about none other than the notorious case between Jatoya Lester and Stanley Lewis, where paternity and pride clashed in a spectacle that kept everyone on the edge of their seats. Let's dive into this case.
Ms. Lester, you opened this case against Mr. Lewis because you say he denies fathering your 21-month-old son, Raiden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Only because you won't have sex with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you want Mr. Lewis to step up after today's results prove that he is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lewis, you claim Ms. Lester was openly sleeping with several men and there is no way you are her son's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jatoya Lester strutted into court with a mission to prove that Stanley Lewis was the father of her 21-month-old son, Raiden. Right from the get-go, the tension was palpable. Stanley wasn't just denying he was the dad, he was launching accusations that Jatoya was a notorious liar, known all over town for her escapades. Ouch. Talk about starting off with a bang. The courtroom buzzed with whispers and side glances as everyone braced for what was coming next.
Me and Stanley planned my son.
We did not plan a baby.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
We've also never used a condom. We talked about having a baby numerous times, so this is all new to me on why he's not claiming my son.
So you're denying the baby?
No, I'm not denying a baby. It's just Jatoya Lester, she just always lying. She's known the street to be a hoe. And
all right, let's be respectful.
Excuse my language. It's just
he's, Your Honor, excuse my French, he's the hoe.
As the drama unfolded, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a straightforward case. Stanley admitted to the judge that, yes, he had had unprotected sex with Jatoya. However, in a classic he said, she said, he accused her of sleeping around, suggesting the paternity was up for debate. Judge Lake was quick to intervene, schooling Stanley on respect and reminding him of his choices that night. The plot thickened when Jatoya revealed their conversations about starting a family, talks that evidently didn't resonate with Stanley as he threw back denials as fast as accusations were hurled.
How did you even end up in a sexual relationship?
Back when I was
young. We've known each other since, well, probably about 6, 7 years. And
Oh, so you all knew each other for a long time?
yes, we have. And I seen her at a grocery store one day. She was with another man then, so I didn't say nothing. When I seen her on Facebook, I inboxed her. She inboxed me back saying all guys want to do is have sex.
But wait, there's more! Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Jatoya dropped a bombshell. Another man was present at Ryden's birth and had even signed the birth certificate. If the courtroom was a pot, this revelation was the spoon that stirred it into a frenzy. Stanley was left grappling with the implications, while the audience was left wondering just how deep this rabbit hole went.
He was at the hospital.
At the hospital, he cut the umbilical cord and he signed the birth certificate. So how am I
did.
the father?
He sure did.
Let me look in my court files because we got a copy of that birth certificate.
Yes, he did.
This birth certificate, oh yeah, here it is, from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Certified record of birth for Raiden Jador. And your father's name is another man's name.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you
funny.
let another man sign the birth certificate when you told Mr. Lewis it was his child?
Yes, I did.
The climax of this courtroom drama came with a twist that no one saw coming. Amidst the heated exchanges and fiery looks, social media entered the picture. Yes, you heard that right. Paternity results were flaunted on social media for all to see, turning personal drama into public spectacle. The courtroom was left scratching their heads, Judge Lake included, trying to piece together the puzzle of relationships, paternity, and modern-day privacy invasion.
Mr. Lewis just testified that you and Ms. Lester have had a 10-year relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you've been sexually active with her for those 10 years?
Not at all, Your Honor.
Stop lying, man. Quit fronting.
When I got in the picture, Raiden was already, I'd say, 3 to 4 months.
Right. So you don't believe you can't be what? No, that still doesn't matter because if you've been 10 years on and off.
Not sexually though, Your Honor.
Oh.
You believe it.
It's a shit.
You believe it.
He knows that. Then, like I said, I'm really here for support, really.
About time, this chaotic journey of paternity claims came to a head. Yep, it was result time, and the courtroom was thick with anticipation. The air crackling with every heartbeat, with accusations flying left, right, and center. The truth was just moments away from being unveiled. Who would end up being the father of little Ryden? Or was there an unexpected twist lurking in the shadows of this family drama?
Mr. Lewis, you are not the father.
Can I say this? I made a mistake.
Today's episode takes a solemn turn as we step into a courtroom filled with grief and contention. In the spotlight, we have Ms. Hooker and her mother, battling against Ms. Baker and her daughter, in a dispute shadowed by tragedy and unresolved questions. It's a story of young love, sudden loss, and the quest for truth amidst the clouds of doubt. Let's delve into the details.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's public denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child.
Ms. Hooker entered the courtroom with a heavy heart, seeking to prove that Ms. Baker's deceased son, Mr. Abraham, fathered her 10-month-old daughter. But this case is about more than just DNA. It's about closure and healing. Ms. Baker, representing her late son, contests the claim, driven by her son's doubts expressed before his untimely death. The stage was set for an emotional showdown, with each side desperate to find peace.
You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
How have you been affected by Ms. Baker's doubts about Kanaya's paternity?
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. Like, that's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care.
It just seemed like everybody else was looking upside my head like I'm an animal or something. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm the outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing and none of that.
The air was tense as Ms. Hooker recounted her relationship with Mr. Abraham. What started as a friendship blossomed into something more, but not without complications. As Ms. Hooker navigated her narrative of love and loss, Ms. Baker interjected with memories of her son's suspicions and fears. It was a heart-wrenching ordeal, watching a mother struggle with her son's legacy while another fought for her child's right to a father's name.
That's not the way
So,
that you go about doing
Ms. Hooker, let me ask you, what was your relationship with Keyshawn? Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
First we was best friends. 6th grade year, we was best friends, and then we started talking. Then we stopped talking. And just like we stopped talking. Then we started going together for a minute, and then like when I got pregnant, it was just like we always talked, but we just stopped going together. But we still talking though, but we just stopped going together. Like we weren't boyfriend or girlfriend.
Okay, but then you still talked.
Yeah.
Were you in love, or was this was your first love?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arguments started as Ms. Baker detailed the uncertainties her son shared with her, stories of other potential partners, and promises of paternity tests that were never taken due to his tragic passing. The courtroom became tense at the thought of a young man torn between doubt and duty, his life cut short before he could resolve his inner turmoil. The judge listened intently, her face a mask of empathy as she navigated the delicate balance between justice and compassion.
Kanaya's biological father.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia.
Okay.
And he made me promise that we was gonna get a blood test, and things didn't go the way we thought they were gonna go, and now we're here.
Well, I'm so very sorry for your loss. Let me say that. I know this is difficult. May I ask what happened to Keyshawn?
He was shot.
As testimonies were given, tempers rose. Miss Hooker's defiance clashed with the Bakers' grief-stricken denials, each side hurling accusations and guarding secrets. The emotional stakes were ski-high, with Ms. Baker grieving how the sight of the child stirred memories of her lost son, complicating her grief with unresolved questions about paternity. This wasn't just a trial to determine fatherhood. It was a cathartic outlet for unspoken pain and pent-up anger.
Ask you, was there another guy?
No, because that's why it's funny, because how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody. What do I have to lie for?
Keyshawn told us that he wanted the blood test. The only way, Keyshawn only denied the baby when him and my daughter was arguing. Other than that, I have pictures with him laying on her stomach. He had doubts only when he was angry. And I cannot get mad at what he tell his mother or nothing like that. But when he came over there with us, he held the baby, kissed the baby, and loved the baby. We just need to get the results for Miss Carolyn.
About time, this heart-rending journey reaches its climax. Yep, it was result time. And the courtroom braced for what was sure to be an explosive revelation. With emotions running high and the legacy of a lost son hanging in the balance, could a DNA test bring closure to these tormented souls? Who would emerge as the father of young Ms. Hooker's child? Or was there another twist waiting to tear open old wounds?
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kenaya Abraham is 0%.
And this is why right here.
Ms. Baker, are you all right? Do you need to sit down? Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
I done told them. They weren't gonna tell me sorry, so I'm not telling them nothing.
Do you need to sit down, ma'am?
Nobody did anything to you, honey.
I don't care.
Nobody
do nothing to me, but I don't like you.
That's
I don't like you.
It's
I don't like you. Okay, I don't care.
It's
Nothing.
okay.
Stop talking to me then.
Nobody did anything to you.
Ms. Hooker, just stop.
Stop it! Stop, please!
Today's episode of Paternity Court is a roller coaster ride of emotion, artistry, and unexpected twists. Over here, we have the convoluted world of Tyesha Gentry Lee and Taurus Morgan, where a potential music deal spirals into a dramatic paternity dispute. The drama and suspense fill the courtroom as the spotlight comes on.
Mr. Morgan, you're suing your former fling, Ms. Gentry Lee, to prove that you fathered her 1-month-old daughter, Amaya, and say today the DNA test will show you are her baby's dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gentry Lee, you say that it's impossible for Mr. Morgan to be Amaya's biological father and want him to leave you alone when the results prove your case. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Morgan, why do you believe she's denying you're the father?
I simply believe that she's denying this because we're no longer in a relationship and we're not going to be.
Taurus Morgan steps into the courtroom with a claim as bold as his ambitions. He's here to prove that he is indeed the biological father of 1-month-old Amaya. Taisha, however, strikes a different note, adamantly denying his paternity and wishing he would simply leave her and her daughter alone. The stage is set, the audience is tense, and the judge prepares to navigate through their tumultuous narrative.
You're the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to the court how this relationship started.
Okay, well, I'm in artist management for a living. When the time I met Miss Gentry Lee, she was with an artist that I was considering signing. I called to speak with him and to tell him, you know, come over, have a drink, let's sit down and discuss some details and see what we can do. Well, Miss Gentry Lee had answered the telephone, and she said at that time that he was no longer with her. Their relationship is over. I stated that I was at home, chilling out, already prepared for him, you know, to be there with me or whether to come over. I was gonna have a drink and kick back.
The backstory unfolds like a drama script. Taurus thought he was signing an artist, but life had a different script in store. Their relationship began with a broken professional appointment and spiraled into an intimate encounter that neither planned. As Taurus recounts the evening that changed their lives, Taisha interjects with her own version, one full of deceit and a relationship built on shaky grounds. This isn't just a paternity case. It's a story of crossed lines and blurred boundaries.
So I stayed with him September the 19th. We did a quickie. Then I left him that day and went with another guy, Your Honor, that actually helped me with my baby the whole pregnancy. I was not showing with Mr. Moore, Your Honor. I was not getting sick until I met
the other person.
Yes.
Now, listen, so this is why you're convinced that Mr. Morgan is not your child's father.
Yes.
Because you didn't have any pregnancy symptoms, you didn't have anything until you were with this other guy.
Yes.
But the plot thickens. Taurus insists on his involvement during the early days of Amaya's life, only to be met with rejection and accusations from Taisha, who claims his romantic overtures were unwelcome. The courtroom buzzes with whispers as the judge sifts through their tangled narratives, trying to find a thread of truth among the web of lies. Every word adds weight to an already heavy atmosphere, where the future of a child is at stake.
That is not true,
She
Your Honor.
explained
He
to
did not
me
ask
that
me
when I
that.
asked her that she had
He did
nowhere
not
to
ask
go,
me that.
she had nowhere to go. She
No.
was staying with a family member of hers, and her family member thought she was a bad influence on the rest of the girls that were there in the house, and she couldn't stay there any longer.
So you end up living together.
Yes.
You all are having sex.
Yes.
Unprotected.
Yes.
Then you find out she's pregnant.
Yes.
Do you tell Mr. Morgan as soon as you find out, or do you tell the
No,
other
Your
guy?
Honor. I did not tell Mr. Moore I was pregnant.
How did you find out she was pregnant?
She was at my house. She needed some hygiene products. I was going shopping for my own things.
As tensions escalate, the accusations fly. Taisha and Taurus trade accusations over the nature of their relationship, with each revelation more startling than the last. The audience is caught in a back-and-forth match of he said, she said, where every statement could tip the scales of justice. The judge watches closely, with a seriousness that the case demands, as she prepares to get to the heart of the matter.
At that time, I figured she had been there for a month. Like, okay, so when is your period, basically? Are you gonna need some pads? She's like, yeah. She put them in my top shelf that's next to my bathroom, and they remained there. They never got open. She never used one. And after time, I'm like, okay, why aren't these open? Why aren't you using them? I haven't had my period. Why haven't you had your period? I don't know. Well, let's check and see if maybe you're pregnant, because that's usually what happens if you miss a cycle. So I made an appointment, and at that time, she went in for a urinalysis test, to take a urine test to see if she was pregnant, okay? Once she went and took that test.
About time, this saga of love and lies nears its finale. The courtroom holds its breath, anticipating the verdict that could unravel the mystery of Amaya's paternity. With the stakes as high as the emotions, what will the DNA reveal? Is Taurus truly the father, or has Taisha's denial more to it than meets the eye? Or perhaps, is there another twist waiting to be uncovered in this melodic conundrum?
You are the father.
I don't get her. We've been through hell and back.
Born. I never got to hold her. I never got to.
She moved away when she was 8 months pregnant on us.
You to stay at my house. You could have stayed.
With me, you said I don't like you so much, but I was there for you. I bought your baby clothes. I fed you. Like you're
But
so
whatever
selfish.
disagreement we have with us, Tyrus, I don't think she'll be around you. I'm sorry, I'm letting the judge.
Twisted, and I will be filing for joint custody. Please believe that.
Goodness.
Strap in for another tumultuous episode of Paternity Court, where the stakes are high and the emotions higher. Today's case features Miss Sales and Mr. Jackson, embroiled in a fiery debate over the paternity of a child born out of a relationship shadowed by secrets and denials. Sit tight, as this case unfolds amidst accusations of infidelity and racial undertones that add layers of complexity to an already heated dispute.
Miss Sales, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Jackson, were in a serious relationship and it was his idea to have a baby. But now that your 3-year-old daughter, Micaiah, is here, he denies being her father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, you claim that Miss Sales is a former side chick who is trying to pin a baby on you only because she wants you back in her life.
From the outset, the atmosphere in the courtroom is charged with tension. Miss Sales claims that she and Mr. Jackson were in a 5-year relationship, a claim Mr. Jackson completely denies, labeling her as nothing more than a side woman. As Miss Sales recounts their history, the story goes into a saga of love and betrayal, punctuated by their ongoing dispute about the complexion of their child, Miss Sales being of darker skin, and the baby light-skinned, a point Mr. Jackson uses to fuel his paternity denial.
You are not her daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Sales, explain why you opened your case today.
I opened my case today because I was with D'Amico for 5 years. We were in a relationship. We had our baby, and now because he sits up and talks to his family, now he feels like that is not his child. Since the day my daughter was born, because she was light-skinned with gray eyes, that was not his child because I'm too dark to have a light-skinned baby.
Mr. Jackson's testimony throws the courtroom into further disarray. His dismissive attitude and the blunt denial of his fatherhood bring uncomfortable murmurs from the audience. The judge interjects, reminding everyone that skin color does not define paternity, casting a stern look at Mr. Jackson as she calls for respect and decorum in her courtroom.
I mean, we had a relationship, but it wasn't serious, you know, we was just, you know.
You left your ex to come be with me. How was we not in a relationship?
It was more of, you know, she had great sex.
Oh, I put it on him and he could never leave.
I mean, it happens like that, you know, Jan, it happens like that, you know. It was just.
So you're saying you were only with her for a sexual relationship?
She was my side woman.
So did you make that clear, or were you making her feel like she was your real woman, but really you were just having a side woman?
She was just my side woman.
The plot thickens as allegations of other potential fathers emerge. Mr. Jackson alleges that Miss Sales was seen with another man, which could possibly explain the child's appearance. He bases his doubts not only on hearsay, but also on malicious gossip that has swirled around their community, further complicating the narrative.
So at the time of the doctor's visit at the end of August, no, I was not pregnant. But again, we had sex at the hospital that same night and would have sex every day on the regular. So of course, it wasn't that hard for me to conceive within the next week or two by him.
So yeah, Mr. Jackson, it sounds like you all were a side woman, main woman, whatever it was to you. It sounds like you all were having a lot of sex.
Yeah.
And so if you were having that much sex,
it was good.
So listen, I'm not asking about the quality.
Yes, ma'am.
I made a comment on the quantity, even though we know it only takes once anyway.
As the emotional intensity peaks, both parties throw accusations that just how much mistrust and deception there is between them. Mr. Jackson clings to his doubts while Miss Sales fights back tears as she defends her single encounter that led to her pregnancy. The judge listens intently, her face a mask of concentration as she prepares to sift through the tangled web of words to uncover the truth.
It was just too much at the time.
What do you mean too much?
This lie is too much. We got to the building.
Listen, Your Honor,
this lie is too much.
I wonder, first of all, I'm sensitive myself. So I wanted, I wanted to take it, but I also wanted to listen to what she had to say at the end of the day, cause.
So what is she saying to you while she's crying?
She was just saying that, I'm wrong for doing this, I'm not right for doing this, like I should believe her.
And because you're such a nice, sweet, humble young man.
Yes, Sean.
You just decided I don't want to hurt this young woman's feelings.
About time, this saga of concealed truths and exposed lies draws to a close. Yep, the results are here, and the courtroom is abuzz with anticipation. Will the DNA test dispel the clouds of doubt that hang over this case? Who is the real father of Miss Sales' child? Or is there yet another revelation waiting to shock us all in this twisted tale of paternity and prejudice?
Mr. Jackson, you are the father.
Now I know who my baby daddy is.
Miss Sales, you don't have to do that. I don't run no circus, and I don't need no clowns.
I understand.
We're talking about a baby. She should know who you are.
She know who I am.
She don't need no side daddy. She needs the daddy that is going to be protecting her. She needs the daddy that's gonna carry the world on his shoulders for her. And Miss Sales, I'm gonna be honest. I get it. I see your tears.
If you're looking for horrible parents, then this is the right place for you. Ms. Jackson appeared in court, claiming that the defendant, Mr. Willimus, was nothing short of a useless man. She claimed that the results would prove he was the father, and she wanted him to take responsibility. The case began like this.
Ms. Jackson, you claim Mr. Williams is a good-for-nothing man who would rather ignore his responsibilities than take care of his 9-month-old daughter, Amani. You say the DNA test will prove Mr. Williams is your daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, you claim you made a huge mistake by having a one-night stand with the plaintiff. You say Ms. Jackson is a promiscuous nuisance who is trying to ruin your life, and there is no way you are her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Jackson, what do you mean by good-for-nothing man?
Mr. Williams knows this baby is his.
Mr. Williams better have some serious evidence to back up his claim. That baby is too adorable not to have a father. The judge then turned to Ms. Jackson, asking her to share the story of their relationship. And let me tell you, it's a tale you won't see coming.
What happened on May 28th of 2016?
Well, that was Memorial Day weekend, Your Honor. I had been drinking, and so was Mr. Williams. He contacted me on Facebook, asked me what I was doing. I told him I was just chilling. He asked me, could he come through?
That's a lie, Your Honor. She contacted me on Facebook.
He contacted me on Facebook and asked me what was I doing. I told him I was just chilling. He said he was in the area. I told him to come through. So I got in the car with him. We went to talking, and one thing led to another. We had sex.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Did you use protection?
No, Your Honor.
Oh. So, you have sex? Is this a relationship that continued after that? Did you all say...
Well, it looks like it was a one-time freaky encounter. There was no romantic relationship after they kicked it in bed. Now, when Ms. Jackson noticed she had missed her cycle, she picked up her phone and told Mr. Jackson, and he told her he would call her back. Guess what? He never did.
And so I reached out to Mr. Williams on Facebook to let him know that it was late. So he brushed me off and said he was gonna call me back, never called back.
So you hadn't talked to him since the car?
Yes.
He said he's gonna call you right back and never called you back?
Never called me back.
Did you do that, Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor. I did not call her back. She been blowing my phone up. Blowing my phone off through the Facebook app because she never had my phone number. Saying that her cycle didn't come on and things in that nature.
But you had sex with her without protection, right?
Everybody else did too, right?
Everybody else? Everybody else like who? Who was everybody else?
Well, who is
everybody else?
I want to know, like Miss Jackson, who is everybody else?
She know who everybody else is.
Your Honor, after the fact of me telling him that my cycle was late.
Wow, I can't believe he just said that in an open courtroom. Who does that? Even though what he said was out of manner, the judge decided to ask him what he meant when he claimed there were other men in the mix, and this was how he broke it down to the judge.
I contacted him again when I found out that I was actually pregnant. He blocked me on Facebook.
So as you're trying to reach him to say, hey, we had unprotected sex, I found out I'm pregnant, you could be a potential father, he's blocking you on Facebook.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
you don't have his phone number.
No, you
So
Honor.
what do you do?
I created a fake page.
Created a fake page.
A fake page and reached out to him again.
Pages.
To let him know that I was indeed pregnant.
And did you ever get any response?
No.
So you were
Fake
ignoring this.
Yes, fake pages, and I don't allow disrespect. You calling me about something and you disrespecting me, that's a no-no.
He definitely didn't want anything to do with the child if he went that far. Judge Lauren then went on to ask him why he blocked her and ignored all her messages when she knew she was pregnant. He claimed the whole thing looked shady and she just wanted money.
After she started hitting me up on these fake pages, disrespecting me, talking about what I need to do, she kept saying, the baby ain't mature yet, and she talking about child support. I'm like, child support? And you just said you were pregnant? So she looking for a handout.
And so you felt like she was chasing you down about the baby because she needed support for the baby, and you felt like she was targeting you.
Yeah, she was targeting me, reason being, she stated that she had sex with another dude right the next gate behind me. So, and then once she told me that, I said, why are you chasing me down about...
How did you find out she had sex with another man?
She told me.
She told me.
What happened? Tell me the story.
She was like, Eric, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Wow, so Ms. Jackson also has some secrets she's hiding? I don't know about you, but this case is about to get really intense. Before Mr. Williams was done explaining his side of the story, Ms. Jackson cut him shut and called him a liar by saying this.
I called him, yes, and I did tell him that I was with somebody else.
The day after?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you didn't use protection?
No, Your Honor.
So did you tell this other man you were pregnant as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell this other man it could potentially be his baby as well?
No, Your Honor.
Did you put this other man on child support?
No, Your Honor.
So why is it you're choosing Mr. Williams?
Because this man hasn't gotten anyone pregnant and doesn't have any kids.
We have to go by the facts. And the fact is, if it has not been proven that the other man is unable to father children, you've never been provided any medical information about this other man?
The judge is right on that one. There's a high chance the other man could also be the father of the baby. Now, this is where things get crazy. Apparently, Ms. Jackson told the other man he was the father of the child and decided to put Mr. Williams' name on child support. Imagine that.
So you put Mr. Williams on child support, but the other man's family helps you with the child?
Yes, Your Honor.
What you up to?
I just went with whoever was gonna stand up, Your Honor.
No, you went with both. You didn't go with one or the other. You got Mr. Williams on the hook talking about child support for him. Did you go down to the child support office?
Yes, I
And
did.
gave him his name?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
So you playing two sides of this particular field?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so have you been responsible for child support all the time?
Like I was the only name that was on the sheet.
So Ms. Jackson, when you went to the child support office, why is it you only put Mr. Williams' name on the paperwork?
Damn, she was trying to play both men. Now, that is just heartless of Ms. Jackson. Hearing her say that, the judge was getting furious that both Ms. Jackson and Mr. Williams were playing games with the life of an innocent child.
And I hope it makes some sense, because neither one of you all got any sense right now. This little faulty logic y'all living off of is a hot mess.
A couple of months into my pregnancy, I had got a phone call from a friend asking me, did I see the post that Mr. Williams had posted on Facebook? I told her no. So we got off the phone, I went on Facebook, and I see he posted a baby shower invitation with him and another woman who was pregnant at the time.
So you had another woman pregnant at the same time Ms. Jackson was pregnant?
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? This right here, this is just messy. It's messy. Now you got one woman pregnant.
Yeah.
So that means this rendezvous you had with Ms. Jackson is nothing new for you.
Oh, Judge Lauren is pissed, all right. Anyway, let's bring their charade of bad parenting to a close, shall we? The results are in, and the judge is ready to reveal who the biological father of the child is.
Mr. Williams, you are the father.
I told you. I told you.
You said you don't mind no child support, so we're not gonna have any problems.
It won't have no problems.
Good.
I apologize for everything dealing with the situation at hand. I'll make sure I take my responsibility as a man and take care of money.
Good. And you have to understand, when you create a situation where you can potentially make a child, when the woman then is pursuing you and you are avoiding her purposefully, you are not just running from that woman. In that instance, you were running for your own child. And Ms. Jackson, that behavior, Ms. Jackson, running around having sex, anybody tell you you cute and you letting them pull your,
In this situation, the plaintiff, Ms. Van Metter, told the judge that she wanted to prove to the defendant, Mr. Watkins, that he was the father of her child. She hoped that the results would prove that he was the father and that she could save her relationship. The case began like this.
Ms. Van Meter, after a recent medical scare, you realized it is imperative that you prove to the defendant that he is the biological father of your 3-year-old son, Decedre, so you can put his name on the birth certificate. You are hopeful today's results will help save your family. Mr. Watkins, you say your paternity doubt has destroyed your relationship with the plaintiff, and when the results prove you are not the father, you are gone forever. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Van Meter, what is the current status of your relationship?
We are not in a relationship. We just live together at the moment.
Okay.
We broke up because of the simple fact that I cheated.
Is there a reason he is still in the relationship? I guess we'll find out. Despite the fact that she cheated, Mr. Watkins was nothing short of a good father to the child. He claimed he grew up without a father and was not going to let the child go through the same thing.
Also, I play father to her other child that doesn't have a father in her life, so I'm taking care of the whole crew.
And I understand that and I respect that, but it's just like he makes me feel like it's a financial thing of why he has stayed, and it's not, because we're going to be okay. And I mean, I think he could still father my child even if he's outside of the house.
So, Mr. Watkins, what I want to understand from you is it's bigger than I'm just staying in the house because this child needs to have a father.
Right, because I found out she cheated, and that's what, like, I didn't understand why. Because I felt like we're all adults. If you want to be in a relationship, you're going to be in one. If you don't want to be in one, you don't.
Okay, well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, as they say.
Moving on, the judge decided to ask Mr. Watkins how everything went down the drain and how he found out that Ms. Van Meter had cheated on him. Trust me, the explanation he gave left everyone in the courtroom speechless. Even the judge wasn't expecting it.
I saw her on the couch texting, but I could clearly see what she's doing. She's texting and deleting messages. She's like, oh, I was just talking to my friend. What you deleting messages for? Then she pretty much was arguing about it, the fact of what she was saying, and I was like, you wasn't saying that because you deleted them. So I left just to cool down because I don't like sticking around arguing about nothing. So I was coming back. One of her family picked me up and told me that they saw her outside in the car doing what she was doing with the dude.
What?
Yeah.
You said doing what she's doing?
Pretty much she was having sex in the back of the car.
Ms. Van Meter, are you in the car with the guy you were texting?
Yeah, but it was because he was leaving, and I was telling him bye at first.
So
he came on to me, and it just ended up.
Wow, she doesn't even deny it. Someone needs to give her an ass whooping, trust me. Here is another mind-blowing revelation. Ms. Van Meter had already told Mr. Watkins about the man she had slept with, claiming he was just a friend. What she left out was that the friend was her ex-boyfriend.
You said it was a friend, right? But that person that you claimed to be as your friend was the person that you said that you dated a while back.
A long time ago.
So it was never a friend. So you was on the phone with your ex texting, deleting
But see, yeah, this is the part that always happens like this, because it's always that okie doke where it's like it's just my friend. And that's why in this courtroom we always ask, have you ever been intimate with that person?
No.
Because you had never been intimate with that person in the past?
No. Me and him.
So the first time you ever had sex with that person was in the car?
Yes.
I thought Mr. Watkins just testified that this was the person that used to date previously.
It didn't date him. When I talked to him, it was just talking.
For some reason, I'm just not buying Ms. Van Meter's story. After a week of her sexual encounter with the other guy, she finds out she is pregnant. She then went on to tell the judge that she could recall using protection while kicking it in bed. Mr. Watkins told the judge that it was a cap.
Mr. Watkins, you seem like you don't believe that.
She didn't use it. She told me she didn't use it. And then she told me she did use it.
Remember.
She said she didn't remember. Then she said she didn't. Then she did. Then she said she did. So there you see where my doubts come from.
So, Mr. Watkins, the truth is you believe this man she had the encounter with in the car, could be DeCedre's true biological father.
Right.
Do you have any additional doubt or evidence?
I don't really have a bond with him. Like, I love him, but every time I see him, I just see him the same way I see her daughter. Those are her kids. So I just see him as just a cute kid. He's cute and he's awesome.
You honestly can't blame Mr. Watkins for feeling that way. He might love the kid, but that doubt just can't disappear into the wind. Ms. Van Meter told the judge that after he found out that she had cheated on him, she told him that he didn't have to stay, but for some reason, he decided to be there for the kids.
Yeah, and
surrounding the timeline is real.
And I know that, and I told him that, and I respected that, and I told him he didn't have to stay. He has chose to stay. He was there during the whole birth. He was there. He cut my son's umbilical cord.
But Ms. Van Meter, have you ever told the other guy he potentially was DeCedre's biological father?
I ran into him when my son was 3 months old, and he asked me if I ever found out if my son was his or not, and I told him that I did because I didn't want him involved, just because I want him to be the dad, because my son acts just like him.
He acts like me because he's around me. He's gonna take up things from me.
But I want to understand this though.
She lied to the other guy because she wanted Mr. Watkins to be the father of her child. Wow. Of course, the judge talked some sense into her head. In trying to defend herself, she said she did what she did because she loved him and wanted the relationship to work.
Trail.
Because I love him and I do want our relationship to work. It's not like that I don't care if he leaves or not, because it would hurt me. It really would. I do love him and I care about him, but I don't want him to feel like he's trapped.
So the truth is, you do want your relationship to work.
Yes, I do.
And you do want him to be the father of your child, not just in deed, right?
Yeah.
But in name as well.
Yeah.
In biology.
Yes.
And you're hoping that these paternity results will save the relationship.
That
Where?
because I had a scare about my cancer and I had a biopsy done. At the end of the day, if something happens to me, I want my son to know who his dad is because I want him.
Wonderful speech, but it does not erase the fact that the child has 2 possible fathers. Anyway, the only way out of this cheating scandal was to reveal the DNA results. Is the ex-boyfriend the father, or is Mr. Watkins the father?
Mr. Watkins, you are the father.
All right. Ooh. That's my boy right there. No wonder he's so damn bad.
That's funny. I've never heard that. But Mr. Watkins, I'm so glad DeCedre will have his daddy in his life, and you will be able to be there, and most importantly, be able to break the generational curse that you spoke about when you first began to testify in this courtroom. That you had made up your mind you were going to be the father you did not have, right?
Right.
And not only be the father, but be, so you know from this moment forward, he's taking his cues from you.
If he takes it from you, he'll be a hell of a man.
Ms. Bruton here admitted to sleeping with both her boyfriend and ex-boyfriend, and now they both want to be the baby daddy. And that got hot. Judge Lauren Lake as mad as you've ever seen her. And here is how it all began.
Ms. Bruton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today's DNA test will allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin and to finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Bruton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan. You claim Ms. Bruton kept the baby from you in hopes that she could build a family with Mr. Richardson and not you.
Yes, Your Honor.
For some reason, Ms. Bruton seems to be quite sure that her boyfriend is the father of her baby. But the ex-boyfriend wasn't going to let Ms. Bruton sell that story to the judge. He claimed he remembered being intimate with her around the window of conception. He started by saying this.
Alone.
Yeah, by looks alone.
But Mr. Martin, you disagree.
Yes, because I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might say I didn't have it as many times she said I did, but I know it's a fact.
No.
It's 99.7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is mine.
No, Your Honor. We only had unprotected sex twice.
No.
That's it.
Your Honor.
Twice.
Your Honor.
In my apartment twice.
Your Honor, it was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the car.
You know it only takes one time anyway.
Yes,
it only takes
All
one
right.
time.
So you say this is your child, Mr. Martin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, that's a really harsh thing to do, Ms. Bruton. She made him happy about the pregnancy and then pulled a fast one on him by vanishing into the air. But here's the crazy thing. Ms. Bruton was not sure who the father of her child could be. So what did she do? She decided to tell both of them that they could both be the father of the child.
Hey, I'm pregnant and you're the father?
First of all, I called both of them because I wasn't for sure who was the father because I slept with both of them around the same time.
Okay, so you do admit his testimony is true.
Yes.
Take me back. I want to understand this relationship. So how do you get to the point where you're in the relationship with Mr. Richardson, but you're having sex unprotected with Mr. Martin?
Okay, me and Mr. Richardson, we was having our ups and downs in our relationship. And so when I met Mr. Martin, I confided him as a friend, and then our friendship grew into a sexual relationship.
There's no denying it now. Ms. Bruton was the one who stepped out of line in the relationship. But there's more truth to be told. Apparently, Mr. Martin wasn't being so truthful with his side of the story. The judge asked him if he wanted to be in a relationship with Ms. Bruton, and the answer he gave was breathtaking. Here's what he had to say.
You were just the go-to guy, Mr. Martin, or did you think you were in a relationship?
Nah, I was just the go-to guy.
So you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that. I really wanted me a child at the time, so I was trying to get her pregnant, and I did tell her that.
You were trying to get somebody pregnant that you
pregnant.
didn't want to be in a relationship with?
Yeah, but I didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
But you were trying to get her pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you just gonna go out and just make a baby with anybody?
No, not with anybody, but
That's
I
what you're
gotta
saying?
I gotta get to know you though.
Okay, but you're not even in a relationship with her.
No.
Nor do you want to be in a relationship.
No, you're
But
not.
you're going to go make a baby. You want to purposefully make a baby with her.
That's what
Yes.
And how old are you?
19.
19 years old.
One thing is for sure, Mr. Martin just got on Judge Lauren's nerves. The window of conception hits the table, and both Ms. Bruton and Mr. Martin can't seem to agree on the days they were intimate with each other. Miss Bruton claimed it was a certain date, while baby daddy claimed she wasn't telling the truth.
Wow.
Yes, it is true. We only had sex twice.
Listen, that's so not true.
You're disputing those days?
Yeah, yes, yes.
When do you say you were intimate?
Before the 7th, it was like on the 5th maybe. That was the first time.
So you're saying you were intimate with her before and after this date of
before,
conception?
yeah,
well, let's just be certain. What she has already testified to puts you in the window of conception regardless.
Yes.
So, in many ways, you in there.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are a possible father of this child.
I don't know who he think he slept with more than twice, but it sure wasn't me. We only had sex twice.
Sneaky little Ms. Bruton. She cheated and kept it a secret from her boyfriend? Wow, could it get any worse? Anyway, Ms. Bruton claimed that it was her boyfriend who was by her side throughout the pregnancy. She claimed Mr. Martin was a pain in her ass, and all he tried to do was ruin her relationship with her boyfriend.
So who stepped up for you during this pregnancy?
Mr. Richardson.
Really?
Yes, I was trying my best to avoid Mr. Martin because he's very messy, trying to break up me and Mr. Richardson's relationship.
I didn't.
And
But when you told him he was a potential father,
yes.
Wait, Mr. Martin, did you try to be there? Were you trying to go to
Yeah, he tried, but I've tried to. I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't seeing it.
At first she did. I was trying to do that, but then after them 2 weeks, she just disappeared. It was like nothing else.
Where did you go?
She just.
Well, I was
answered
just.
the phone.
I just wasn't answering the phone. Every time he'd come see a family member of mine, I wouldn't be around it because I didn't want to see him or have nothing to do with him.
At least she isn't denying shutting Mr. Martin out of the picture, but it gets tricky. Ms. Bruton allowed her boyfriend to sign the birth certificate because she wanted him to be the father, or as she put it, she believed and hoped he was the father. Even till this moment, she doesn't know if her boyfriend is actually the father of her child.
Because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want Mr. Martin to know none of that because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
So you allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Both. So now he's legally responsible for this child.
Yes.
When you sign a birth certificate, you are acknowledging paternity and you are taking responsibility legally for this child. And now you're in paternity court with another man that says he's also this child's father, and the reason why he believes that is because you told him.
Father because he wants kids so bad, but
well, the case is not going to get any messier than this. Judge Lauren isn't going to sit around and watch these guys argue all day. The only way out of this mess is to reveal the DNA results. Is Mr. Martin going to end up being the father of the child?
Mr. Richardson, you are not the father.
What?
Mr. Martin.
I told you.
What?
I told you.
You are the father.
I told you. I knew what it was.
No, that is not possible.
That
is not possible. That is not possible.
I knew this.
I want to read
Mr. Martin, you are the father.
No, that is not possible.
We need to get something.
He don't look nothing like him, so how is he the father?
Miss Bruton, I realize you thought you were playing a game of chess, but the DNA is not a game.
Let's just say these two are the worst parents on the planet. Ms. Adams claimed to be in a love triangle, and now the defendant, Mr. Spencer, no longer believes he fathered her twins. She claimed she was beyond certain that he was the father of her twins, and she was going to prove it. She began her case like this.
Ms. Adams, you say you were caught in a love triangle, and now the defendant doesn't believe he fathered your 13-month-old twins, Kamarian and Kamariana. You testify that you are 100% certain he is and plan to prove it today in court. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Spencer, you say the plaintiff needs to make up her mind about who her children's father is. You state that another man was claiming the babies were his. You say when the results reveal you are not the father, you plan to cut off all communication. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
She was sleeping with 2 different men at the same time. Wow. Here is the thing. She claimed that she was initially in a relationship, and when that went south, Mr. Spencer was the shoulder to cry on. For them, it was not a romantic situation at all.
All right, so were you and Mr. Spencer in a committed relationship?
No.
No. And so, Mr. Spencer, you agree with this testimony? You met Ms. Adams. You all started having a sexual relationship. You didn't use protection.
Yes, sir.
But
yes,
you
Your
weren't in a committed relationship.
No, we weren't.
So, did you know whether or not at that time she was also intimate with anybody else?
No, I didn't.
Miss Adams, were you intimate with anybody else during that time?
No, I was not.
So how soon after you broke up with your ex did you meet Mr. Spencer?
I'll say like about 2.5 months later.
All right. So during this window of time you were intimate with Mr. Spencer, you were not dealing with your ex at all?
No, I was not.
At least she did not deny that she was intimate with both Mr. Spencer and her ex-boyfriend. Now, when she found out she was pregnant because she believed Mr. Spencer was the father, she told one of his family members about the pregnancy.
What did you tell?
I told a family member of Markeith Spencer that I was currently pregnant and that I need to speak with him immediately.
So you told Mr. Spencer's family member?
Yes.
And you were confident at that time that Mr. Spencer was your child's biological father?
Yes.
And so Mr. Spencer, your family member informed you that Ms. Adams was pregnant?
Yeah, she called me and then she told me like that Miss Adams was pregnant or whatever. Then I called and checked with her, like, you know, the confirmation to make sure like this was what I was hearing. Then, you know, we just like, we talked about like her pregnancy, how she got pregnant, how this was possible, how it happened.
And so for some reason, it's not surprising that she did not mention the possibility of another father in the mix. When she gave birth to the twins, her ex's mom caught wind of the pictures of the babies and told her the babies were her grandkids because they looked like her son.
But what happened, the way that my ex came into the picture is because once I had the babies, the pictures went out on the internet, and that's when my ex-mother called me and said that those are my grandbabies. They look just like my son.
Oh. And so once she said that, had you been thinking of that in the back of your mind all this time? Never.
Never. I was starting to hear it so much, and I was getting so many phone calls from like my ex side of the family and everything about the boy, Kamarion. They were saying he looked like my ex and everything. So it got to the point where I'm just like, whoa, I never thought that Markeith was not the father, but then...
The ex's mom sure wants those twins to be her grandbabies. Judge Lauren then decided to ask Mr. Spencer when and how he found out that the babies he once believed to be his were no longer his. This was the explanation he gave to the judge.
It was like probably a couple months after I was away, you know, I've been going, you know, I talked to her, kept in contact with her the whole time, like her pregnancy or whatever, we talked, you know, she was, you know, writing me letters and stuff saying like how these was my kids, how she wanted me to come home, be a family with her, stuff like that, you know. And then the communication was changing, like her attitude was changing, everything. So I kind of knew it was like either you back messing with Mitchell or there's something going on, because you having an attitude more, like you ain't really keeping me up to date with these kids, and like it was like...
So you noticed it?
Yeah, like I kind of noticed the change, so I kind of knew it was like somebody else in the picture, like it was then they told me like...
Wow, she must really love her ex. While Mr. Spencer was away, he caught wind of pictures of the twins and her ex's mom, in which she claimed that the baby belonged to her ex-boyfriend, as you would expect. Ms. Adams denied the whole thing when he confronted her.
But you were at a place where you decided you were going to race Mr. Spencer out the picture.
Yes,
because you didn't want the drama.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Spencer, when this was happening, did you realize she was just trying to cut you out, or did you feel like she had determined you weren't the child's biological father and so she was just moving on?
When I was away, my ex sent me pictures of Christian Page, and I seen pictures of her tagging Mitchell mom as her grandkids. So I was like, and you telling me this whole time these was my kids.
And what did she say?
She was like, oh, I ain't tell them that. Mitchell just automatically assumed these was his kids. She told me that, you know, like he automatically came back and was like, oh, them my kids, I'm gonna be taking care of them kids.
Oh well, Judge Lauren dropped a bomb in the courtroom. She told both Mr. Spencer and Ms. Adams that the ex's mom was out back waiting to tell her side of the story. Trust me, it came as a shock to both of them. When the ex's mom walked in, this was what she told the judge.
Yeah. And I have to ask you, do you believe these are your son's biological children?
Yes, I do.
Please explain to the court.
The first week that they was born, Kristen's mom called me. So she said, by now, look, take a look at the babies. Look at these pictures. Something ain't right. So she sent me the pictures. So I'm like, oh my God. So I went looking for some of Mitchell's baby pictures, and I started sending them through the family. And the family's like, oh my God, these Mitchell's babies. So as I talked to Kristen, are you sure? We just left here at the end of December. You said you met Markeith in February.
Wow, now that certainly complicates the whole situation. Well, there is only one way out of this mess. The DNA results never lie, and the judge is ready to give her verdict about the whole case. Here it comes.
Mr. Williams, or Mr. Spencer, is the father of 1-year-old Kamariana Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer. Mr. Williams or Mr. Spencer is the father of 1-year-old Kamarion Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer.